Welcome back to the Acer Team Story Cup. Zombie Grub, would you mind kicking off the intros for me, madam?
Sure. In the bottom left, as the red Terran, it's going to be Liquid's Taeja.
And the big guns being brought out, as I like to refer to him, but his opponent in the top right, dominating so far, up 2-1, leading Axiom in this series so far. It is the Blue Zerg player, Impact.
Kind of funny that Liquid Taeja has the school portrait of Raynor.
I know, like the nerdy Raynor one or whatever.
Yeah, just doesn't instill much fear in your opponent.
Well, Taeja is like the cutest guy. I mean, he's like adorable in real life. He's not threatening, and then he wins all these tournaments like crazy.
They probably told him to pick that because it kind of looked like him.
That's mean. I don't think that looks like him at all.
Taeja's better looking than the portrait, but the portrait is like similar. Like he's kind of nerdy, got the glasses, got that short haircut.
Yeah, well, sure, I guess. I don't know, I just shrugged that off. Guys, this is Yansu. Being the faith is Yansu. I need to throw out these Easter eggs and issue a challenge to chat, of course. If you were here earlier, you already heard the challenge. I'd love to see some of the new people try this out, though. But our friend and good buddy, Phoenix X6 StarCraft, the guy who made this map, actually informed me only just a couple weeks ago there's some hidden Easter eggs on all the maps he makes. And on Yansu, there's actually hidden Pandarian Brewmaster barrels. Now, there's 4 of them in total. What I'm going to do is show the stream 2, and if you guys have time later and you're bored, I'd love for you to try and find the other 2. But outside the natural base of Taeja, there's 1 hidden on this high ground cliff. And outside the 3rd of Impact, where is it hidden up here? There we go. Oops, can't run camera swivel. There's another one. So there's 2 more on the map. I issue you guys the challenge of trying to find them. But getting into the game now, we do have a Reaper opening coming out of Taeja. Kind of common in this matchup. Don't know how much damage this will get done versus Impact. Quite frankly, I'm not thinking much.
I'm trying to find the barrels, just, solo cast.
No, I can tell you were there later if you want a spoiler.
No.
I
have no idea how to turn cameras, so I wouldn't even find it.
I sent one cast, there's like a PvP or something, so there's like 10 minutes beforehand, and that's where I went looking for the barrels, because I'm like, well, there's nothing else to do right now.
Pretty much. But there shouldn't be anything, done here either. Impact did go for 6 lings rather than just the regular 4, or even sometimes 2. He could split off 2 or 4 to go towards the command center, which is so annoying, by the way. Zerg players should always do it, just how annoying that is.
Yeah, those extra 2 lings coming out of the natural will go right there.
Yeah, it's so terrible, and Taeja's not getting a second Reaper, so there's not going to be anything that goes home to defend it, or nothing that can be kept home while he's attacking that can, help out there. So he's going to have to send the Reaper back. That is a huge sigh of relief for a Zerg player. That Reaper harass is actually something that keeps them on on their toes, and it's always something they have to worry about. And with it gone, they're suddenly like, oh, thank God, I can kind of relax right now.
Yeah, not have to worry about build canceling or anything like that. It alleviates not just stress, but like a lot of micro-control as well. Taeja, though, with this one Reaper, the big thing, of course, it's not damage it does, it's the scouting information it gains. This is a really critical unit in this matchup. I mean, whether you use 2 Reapers to pair up with 6 Hellions as the follow-up, or if you just use it for scouting, one way or another, it's really important to keep this alive and not throw it away for free.
Mm-hmm. Definitely true.
Oh, is he really going to catch an Overlord? This is huge! In the middle of the map like this. This is not like this is a lot of resource to lose early on for a unit you wouldn't want to normally lose. He's gonna wait.
Hey,
what?
Go get it.
Yeah, okay, good. He knocks it down. All right, WTF. But okay, safe rather than sorry. A couple Hellions spawned in the nick of time to deal with that 1 ling, anyways. So not a big issue here. Taeja is fine. That Overlord kill, it's not like it's devastating to Impact, but that's another larva. That's 100 resources, and that's a potential supply block. Wasn't in this case, but it's a potential supply block. Losing an Overlord this early can sometimes really hurt. Luckily for Impact, it wasn't the end of the world for him.
No, but Impact, he's getting a Roachborn. He got that around 6 minutes. That's pretty early, and there's no 3rd on the way either, so I really don't think it's going to be for the 4 roaches to defend. It could be for like up to 8 roaches to try and apply some pressure.
Taeja fell susceptible to the rocks just there. I don't know if you saw the Marine stutter stepping, shot it a couple times. Gonna lose a couple of SCVs to this, but the Hellion's coming back in time to defend this. But I was gonna say, while you're going on, we had the Banshee opening. This is a Hellion Banshee coming out of Taeja, so even if this is a large amount of roaches, the problem is Hellions are usually not enough to deal with this. However, a Banshee certainly is. It's got a lot of damage that hits hard and hits fast. And if the Roaches are out of position, like, it's almost better for Taeja if Impact moves out with the Roaches. Then he sends those 6 Hellions into the natural, kills all the drones, and is way better off for it.
He's getting a third, but he's also getting a Baneling Nest. So I'm going to guess that, Taeja, he's probably going to see how late the third is and be like, okay, you're definitely going to do something. What are you doing? And if he sees the Roaches, he's going to say, okay, just Roaches. But what he might not see is the fact that the third won't be droned up and that a Baneling Nest is coming up behind it. And that's going to be really key. The Banshee hopefully will scout it.
Yeah,
it's going to be over there. Well, no, it's going to come back. It's going to come back and try to defend the Roaches because that's what he thinks is going to happen. Yeah,
but there's not a lot of Roaches that were made. I mean, this was the expectation of a push that didn't come. It's just a good amount of Roaches to defend against any sort of Hellion aggression. Lings are going to be limited in what they can do. Hellions choose to engage the Roaches without the aid of a Banshee. Okay. Not sure why, but okay, it's Taeja.
Yeah. It should be free units at this point, if he just parks that Banshee over there, it's kind of free units. Have to be careful with the Queens, of course, but the Hellions, there's 4 of them, and they're going to try and go in there, and they are going to get in there.
More than enough to kill a lot of drones. Impact actually using... Well, actually, I like that. He used a couple drones to block the Hellions instead of just having them chase through the drones that were stacking. That's, of course, a wet dream for Hellions to chase drones that stack up, but that's not going to happen. Loses a couple more, but in the end, 6 drones, 3 Hellions. Actually, 2 of them going to get away, so only losing 2 Hellions in that engagement. Not a bad trade.
Where the Roaches were, there they are.
Yeah, there's already Marauders in this bunker, a full wall up. I mean, a counterattack's not even something that Taeja's even worried about. But transitioning into buyout of this, so he's not playing macro or anything like this, guys. Taeja playing pretty standard in this. My question is going to be, does he utilize tanks or Widow Mines? I mean, Widow Mines were the go-to for so long, right? But as we saw just through Home Story Cup and a lot of the ladder matches, tanks are becoming a lot more reutilized, I guess. I mean, even before the recent patch change, you saw players like Hero Marine use a lot of tanks, incorporate Thors with his bio, and kind of phase out Widow Mines. Now that the change has already gone through, and Widow Mines are better or worse depending on your point of view, but tanks are better for sure, we see them getting utilized more, and I'd love to see Taeja follow up with some tanks into the late game.
We do see that Impact's going to go for Roach Hydra, getting the upgrades for it as well, going to get some free units too, that's always nice. But it's interesting, Impact got that Baneling Nest. I think he definitely wanted to go for a Roach Baneling attack, but seeing the Banshee might have been the determining factor that no, I'm not going to do it. Because now the Baneling Nest, I don't think it's going to be used. I mean, he's not getting centrifugal hooks, and you definitely need that if you want to go Banelings. So that was unfortunate for Impact to have his plans so, irked away from him. But he should be able to hit this 2-2 timing that's usually common with Roach Hydra, and that's still very powerful.
And that's a really curious choice to me to go for Roach Hydra. I mean, Roach Hydra's not bad per se, but the thing is, Mutalisk became popular in the TVZ matchup because they shut down drops. Taeja is not a player you want to let drop without any consequence, right? I mean, Hydras can attack the medevac, sure, but I think as soon as Taeja realizes this is Roach Hydra, we're going to see a little bit more harass go off towards the main, towards the natural type thing. But for now, just picking up creep tumors, keeping it safe, keeping it cool. Banshee in the main going to kill his queen. As of course, the Banshee does 1v1 a queen, doesn't need cloak, but the Spore Crawler will finish off the Banshee, so rest in peace.
What's unfortunate about Impact right now is that the 2-2 timing will not hit before Taeja's 2-2. So that's always the kind of the goal with Roach Hydra, is to do this big attack with 2-2, and your opponent might not have 2-2 by that time, but now it's going to be even upgrades. In fact, Taeja's going to be far ahead in upgrade times. He's going to know. He's going to be dropping all the time. He's going to know when Impact gets fed up and decides, okay, I'm going to attack right now. And he's getting siege tanks to help with that, as well as a bunch of bunkers. So he knows.
Well, of course, the scary thing for siege tanks is while they are incredibly nice, Vipers shut them down quite nicely, but we're nowhere close to the Hive tech. Typically, you see Vipers paired with this composition because, well, pretty much everything Terran has is range. So, with no Vipers, no Blinding Cloud coming into this, a little bit just kind of blind. Hydra's going to do a lot of damage just to bio, that much is for sure, but no detection even for Impact. Has to be careful of those Widow Mines. Big drop here at the third in the meantime. Chase the drones off, but they'll knock down the hatchery before they get killed.
Where's the overload coverage for Impact? So the entire left side is just open for drops, and there's nothing to see them coming. So the third goes down. That's gonna, severely, okay. So the attack's not even gonna happen anymore. Taeja just shut down the attack. He did get the drop. That's nice.
Yeah.
But he really wants to do an attack. He wants to try and do damage to Taeja, who's very comfortable in 3 base. He's up to 70 SCVs. He's getting a very nice composition, including those tanks in there.
Oh, and he sees this
no
too.
Attack that Impact's gonna do is break through.
Yeah, Impact sees the bunkers, he sees the tanks, that one changeling trying to hide within the Marines. But you're right, that whole left side of the map is completely open right now. There's a lot of players out there who will often, like, you don't spread overlords early because they're so easily picked off, but in the late game when you've got Pneumatized Carapace, you know, there should be like every part of the map just completely covered with vision. Zerg between creep tumors and overlords should never really not see a drop coming. It's very uncommon to see that this level of play, at least.
Unless you know that your opponent loves to go for a Viking, for instance, Pult, then, you know, then okay, don't spread out your overlords, especially when you have Hydras who can't technically get all over the map, you know, in the dead space. But with this, like, you know, now, especially after losing that third, go put the overlords over there, something. Puts a bunch of Hydras over there, or Roaches rather. Maybe see that drop? I don't think it did. Okay, he is. Okay, good. He's spreading out his overlords, because that would get really, really bad really fast. Just moving forward and dropping to the left side.
Well, Taeja pushing quite hard here. This is a lot of bio for Impact to deal with, and there's still no Vipers, no nothing.
This is not looking good whatsoever. He has to wait for 2-2. You know, Studio is not finished. Taeja's getting 3-3 right now. He has to at least wait for that before he can ever engage. And then he wants to engage without the tank fire. You know, catch Taeja, you know, looking somewhere else. Tanks are sieged way, way back. Something like that. Because if he engages in the tanks, it's pretty bad.
This Marine is crazy going balls to the wall on this hatchery, by the way. It is so dead, though. Impact tried to go for a small counterattack while this was happening, guys, if you missed it, but Taeja, of course, had a tank up at home with these bunkers still, so no real damage got done. As he continues to push with this attack, the tank's going to be leapfrogged. They're going to use the terrain to their advantage, of course, can wrap around from the backside if he needs to, but instead, pushing down the natural choke, or not even the natural, the main choke on this map, takes this fight head on. The Hydras have a lot of damage, of course. They're quite scary for the bio, but he's just got Impact making the right moves, backing away from the tank fire. If Taeja engages away from the tanks, he's going to trade effectively at best. If he attacks with the tanks, Taeja wins this fight every single time. So Impact, knowing this, backs up more and more. But as he gives up ground, it allows Taeja to get better and better positions for future engagements.
Yeah. Good news is that tanks take a long time. You never want to attack without them, so you got to leapfrog them. So Impact is gonna have a lot of time to get those Vipers full of energy. He's gonna keep taking these fights. You know, Taeja is, you know, giving him this, but Impact is.
He just needs a little more time. He just needs those blinding clouds.
A little more. He might be able to push through here. No, actually, no. He gets separated. No, that's good.
But a nice split here, actually, for Impact, yeah. Oh, but the Vipers are picked off immediately. They don't get a single blinding cloud down.
Ooh, where is the blinding cloud? He still has one, but he's so afraid to use it. He doesn't know where to use it. He wants to use it on the tanks, but no, it goes down.
He cleans up the initial push. He needs to not continue pushing into this, though. Taeja's got a lot more tanks, as you said, leapfrogging his units forward, so Impact just lost the biggest advantage you could have possibly had. Those two Vipers evaporated. The third one went down without sending a single blinding cloud. With that, Impact actually has no way to engage into the tank lines.
If those were all Roaches, maybe he could have pushed forward to the tanks, but because they're Hydraless, they just would have died to 4 tanks, like, so easily. And now 3-3 is going to finish, plus 2 vehicle weapons as well. And Impact, I think, is going to have to tap out very, very soon. The drones...
Oh, no. He's transferring these, and while these might not go down, this gives away now that that base is down. Taeja, who didn't know about this previously, should have an idea of what's up. But these 3 tanks, man, these are so well positioned, covering their rear, covering the front. These are the best tanks Taeja's had. Meanwhile, this one Link trying to harass at the fourth base of Taeja. Not going to get a lot done once the planetary finishes up, but continuing to leapfrog forward. Taeja is vicious. Again, not a large unit count here for Impact, and that's the key thing to Roach Hydra. You know, Roaches are cheap units. You make a lot of them. You get your supply maxed out, but he can't do that right now.
Able to push forward because the Marauder count is so low. He's really just making a whole lot of Marines, but it's still not going to be enough. Those 3 tanks themselves are like the barrier between Impact and the game, pretty much. And Taeja's getting a 4th command center as well. He's going to start banking up a lot of money, and GG's called from Impact. It's really unfortunate because I thought he had a situation there with those Vipers that he could have pushed back and, you know, continued, you know, with the ball rolling, but it just they were sniped so fast.
I know, he flew them right over Stim Marines. Never something you necessarily wanted to do, but man, well played one way or another. Unfortunately for Impact, that will put him on the back seat, but let's not forget this is the Easter Team Story Cup, guys. When you're on at match point, you can bring back any player that's already played today, so maybe they'll bring back Impact later if that comes down to it. I don't know, but for the time being, I want to give a small shout out to Wake from Mouse Sports in chat. Hi, dude. Coming over from Home Story Cup. You guys must be all exhausted, but with that, we'll let you guys know, chat, who's up next for Axiom. For the time being, though, we're going to run some ads. Crank, Impact, Alicia, Crank hasn't played yet, but Impact and Alicia already have, so there's still Crank and some others, Ryung. Don't go there, guys. We'll be back in a sec.